All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Monday's edition of PremarketInfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, good morning to you, Dennis. Got a little movement in the S&Ps here, trading down a little over 10 points.
Yeah, we're moving down here pretty good in the early morning. Follow through a little bit more. I think it was Spain asking for money officially, and it's kind of driving down some of the European banks. But everything's kind of broad-based sell-off here this morning.
Yeah, opened up a tick below the close and is sold off. Took out that major support there. We were talking about the 13-18 area. We're kind of in some precarious ground here under this 13-17.50. I don't see really major support down to 13.05 in a quarter. So be careful. If we can't get back above 13.19 here, pretty quickly we could be in for a nice down day. And we got some movers out there.
Do have some movers. First of all, though, I just wanted to talk about ExxonMobil to start here. It was the Russell rebalance there on Friday, and you had some pretty good moves right on the close on a few stocks. Some of these stocks had their weights adjusted in the index, and ExxonMobil came out the big sell imbalance right on the close. You can see right at the end of the day here on the chart, the stock actually started running down from just under the 83 area, got to about 82.60, and then gapped down 50 cents on the close at 82.11. So you got about a 50-cent move there that was just because of the rebalance. So if you're saying, if you come in and you see ExxonMobil, it's only down 40 cents, we're down over 10 points, 12 with fair value. You're wondering why ExxonMobil's not down that far. It's because it already has 50 cents of move in it, so you want to keep that in mind if you're trading ExxonMobil today.
I've had a series of lows in that $82 area. Did close on the low of the day at 82.11. 82.05 was Thursday's low. So that area is going to act as major resistance now. If in fact it can get back above that 82 and hold it, there's a chance for a rally. But that 82 is going to be a great swing area. Speaking of stocks coming in to support, here we are again at 99.50 and Chevron Corporation.
Wow.
Is it going to hold again?
It's trading right there in the pre-market again here. Going to open right into support. One trade this morning at 99.59. Bidding 99.74, so this whole area here is just critical support for the stock. It didn't drop very good, but it's 99.50. That's your number there. That's what you're looking at. It starts to break down through there. You had this really quick run up here over a 2-day session down from the 95, 96 area. So if we get through 99.5, I think you could see this thing fall a couple of bucks in a hurry. It needs to hold that 99.5 area. And this was another one here, just to highlight for our traders. This was another one that did have its weighting adjusted in the Russell, and it's gap down about 40 cents on the close as well. It says it closed at 181. It actually closed at $100.44 was the actual closed as a gap down right after the close on the sell imbalance. Maybe I'll just explain that a little bit. So basically in the Russell, they adjust these, and they do it in June, where they adjust the different weightings just because the prices move around. And there was this huge, they needed to sell some of the Chevron on the close, and that's exactly what happened. And that's why you've seen the stock move down just a little bit here. The ExxonMobil was the same story.
Okay, after having a big day last Monday, Apple Computer is right back in its doldrums here. I got a little bit of a run out into the close, perhaps a little bit of rebalancing there, settled near the high, but we've given that all back and treading above 575 here. The only level I have below that, 575.42, which was Friday's low, would be the double bottom right around the 570 area.
Yeah, you got to look at that area. But it's hard to say on this one here. The stock actually had some pretty decent relative strength on Friday. It held up, like I think you said even in your weekly outlook. Was it up on Friday? It did. It closed up on Friday, so up $4. I know the market was just a bit stronger, but it wasn't bad. It held up okay. I think if it can stay above this 575 area, the rally's still intact. If it starts to fall below that, I'd start to get nervous, though.
Okay, also on the radar this morning, IBM down a buck and a quarter in the pre-market. Here's another stock just approaching some major support. We did hit one trade here, 192.45 has been the low in the pre-market. Looking at the dailies on this thing, this was just a huge area of support. Can it hold again?
Yeah, this whole area here, 192, it needs to stay above that area. We had one, two, three, four, five. That quintuple bottom there thing happening again from 192 to 193. So there's all great support in the mid 192s here, and obviously trading at 192.45, just a couple hundred shares. So it looks like it's going to open up into that support area. Sometimes these are nice setups here. Starts to go below 192, I'd probably want to get out if I was long the stock, but could be a nice setup if it can open in this area and get a bounce off the hop. There might be a trade in there. This was another one too. Russell adjustment here did have a imbalance, sell imbalance on the Friday close, and the stock gapped from this 194.48 down to 193.70. So gap down just under 80 cents on the closing print. So keep that in mind if you're trading IBM as well.
Okay, just one other stock to mention in the Big Ten. Did have a shot at a triple bottom. Procter and Gamble, just the symbol of slowdown and
Wow.
the entire global economy. 59.75 has now gone by the wayside. That area will act as resistance now. I mean, boy, this should. I mean, what do you see between this and the October lows in this thing?
Yeah, that's the whole thing on this. This triple bottom, three closes right within a couple of cents of each other, 59.75. I wouldn't say we're see where we open at on this thing because it's 59.63, holding up pretty darn good considering we're down 10 points on the S&P. If this thing can just hang out here and only be 5 or 10 cents through this low, I wouldn't say it's gonna. But if it starts to really start moving down with some conviction, starts trading below 59.50, I think that's where I'd start to get nervous. Going back, like you're right. If it starts to take out this area, it starts to open back up. I see the low that you talked about back there on August the 12th. I think it is a 57.56, which is a couple points lower. Maybe eventually that's where it wants to go, but it's hard to say. You had some lows if you go back earlier, back into 2010 actually. In August, you had a lot of lows in the mid 59s to low 59s, so maybe you can catch a bid down there too. I mean, there's some value investors that have got to be looking at this one and kind of licking their chops a little bit.
Okay, it looks like the FDA is not helping things out this morning as far as inducing a rally.
Yeah, two stocks, Pfizer and Bristol Myers here, both in the news. They're working on a drug together. Forgive my pronunciation on this. I think it's Eliquis. It's a stroke prevention drug. The FDA gave them a note this morning, wanted more additional information, so they're not getting approval off the bat here. So that's probably going to delay the launch of this drug, and that's why you're seeing these two stocks trade down significantly here in the pre-market. Bristol Myers is trading at 33.53 right now, basically giving back its last month of gains here. These drug stocks have been on a tear, but this is going to give back its whole month of gains here, coming back. I think you have decent support just under $33, but man, this stock, that's a big move for Bristol Myers to the downside.
Yeah, they're just coming off it, just bumping up against a 52-week high, and now it's beat right back down. Looking at the pre-market, we did hit 33.10. We're getting a bounce here up to 33.55. Looking at the chart, you do see that major low at 32.83. That low going back on June 1st, so let's keep an eye on that level. Pfizer, this is a big move for
Oh
Pfizer. I
yeah.
mean, 50 cents,
Oh
the way
yeah.
this thing trades. Was just really holding in there just above 22.50, 53, 54, 64 were a bunch of lows. Now that area is going to be major, major resistance. Going back, the looking at the lows from the daily charts, 2209 and 2215 were the lows on June 13th and June 14th. And lo and behold, what do we hit in the pre-market for a pre-market low 2210? So keep an eye on that area as support. Anywhere back up near 2250, we'll be looking for resistance in Pfizer.
Yeah, this stock too had a huge seller up in the 23 area. Actually, some bigger institutional sellers in the 2290s too. So for 4, 5, 6 days, kept topping out just above there in the 2285, 86 area as those high frequency traders were leaning on those sellers. If any of them held overnight, which they don't typically do, but if any of the other investors, swing traders, were holding this short overnight, hoping it wasn't going through 23, you got a gift here this morning as the stock's down 50, 60 cents. Sometimes value investors might come in on a play like this too. I mean, they didn't disapprove the drug here. It's just probably delaying it a little bit. So you never know. Watch the pricing action right off the hop. These things start to catch a bid. They could start to rally, get back into that area that Joel's just talking about in the 2250 area. But other drugs are in the news here too. A lot of drugs in the news. VTUS, another one here. It is getting absolutely rocked. One of their trials on Inferanercerin. The trial,
Yeah,
the phase 3 trial wasn't good apparently. The stock is trading down at $5 right now, $5.20. This closed at $12.26. So this thing is absolutely your disaster stock of the day, down 60%. I go out to the weeklies trying to find support. That's not even far enough. Got to go back out to the monthlies trying to find support. Can't really find anything support on this. Where's the support on this one, Joel?
it's got to be a buy then.
It's got to be a buy then. Can't find support, must be a buy. Where's the support?
471's where we hit in the pre-market. That was back,
471.
yeah, 471 and 480s. Couple lows we had just after 8 o'clock. Low has been steadily moving up since then to 502 and 515. Currently trading at 519. $5. You gotta call that the bogey if you're looking to try and buy something on the cheap today. This stock traded up to $20. That's when they must have thought there was going to be something good about this trial. Back in May of 2011, short seller's dream this morning. Unless you think it's going to zero, I think there'll be buyers at $5.
Yeah, crazy. Another stock I wanted to highlight, just going back to this whole Russell thing, was Visa. And this stock gapped up on the close. Again, it being adjusted. I think its weighting was adjusted a bit. Actually, I don't know if Visa even was adjusted. For whatever reason, it had a big buy imbalance on the close. Look at the run-up this thing did in the last hour and a half. Even in the last hour, this thing was at 121. It gapped up to 124.40 and then gapped up another 50 cents on the close. Actually closed at 124.95. So this thing basically has 4 points of fluff right here. Is trading down in the pre-market, trading at 123. But look where it gaps to even. It gaps right into that resistance area. I think that's a 52-week high of 125. Trying to grab it there.
125.35, and that's the all-time high.
That's the all-time high. So it gaps right just under there, 40 cents under the all-time high. I do see some size even at 125. So designated market maker prints it right in front of that size at 124.95 on the closing print. 125 does not get executed. Guy sitting there must be not too happy about that. Stock is now down $2 in the pre-market. I don't think that's going to even sniff up there today. Wouldn't surprise me if this thing gives it all back. It's at 123 right now, but wouldn't surprise me if we've seen 121 on this thing today. What a move up on Visa at the close on Friday.
Yeah, and it's kind of almost matching bottoms there, 119.31 and 119.33. So if you're a long-time holder of Visa and you're not going to try and pick the top at 125, I would definitely have a sell stop here just below 119 because it could easily be back at 115 in a heartbeat. If we're going to talk about Visa, you got to talk about MasterCard. MA is the symbol. I always put MC. That stock's bumping up against resistance at 435. Have some room to run after that, but look at the support at 421 in that thing.
Yeah, 421. I was just looking at that run up too, man. It had a heck of a run up for the last 2 hours too. Basically ran up 8 straight points in the last hour. Basically ran up 5 straight points here. So there's a lot of air in this thing too, especially on a down day. But I see the support you're talking about right down here. What 421 area? 420.60 was the low on Friday. 421.04. 421.12. 421 is big. That's $9 away from, well, actually where it's bid right now. Where it closed, it's $15 away from here now. But so there's a lot of air. This thing starts to sell off. There's a lot of air. This thing could really move down in a hurry.
Okay, and I know we're running a little short on time here, but what's a premarketinfo.com show if we don't talk about the European banks?
European banks, ING, BCS, all of them are trading down significantly here this morning. Maybe on the headline, Spain's officially asking for more money, or maybe it's just profit taking. These things have had a little bit of run in the last few sessions. They're starting to get nervous again over there. I know Deutsche Bank got a downgrade today too, and that's got DB under a little bit more heat than the other ones. 34.57 on DB. Interesting enough, it's got some lows back. If you go to June 14th, 34.37, 34.42. Maybe it's got 34.40 on the mind. How low did this one get in the pre-market?
Deutsche Bank got down in the pre-market. Then didn't quite get to those support levels you were mentioning. 34.53 so far has been the low.
Yeah.
I do see all those lows that you are talking about. You also have some nice support at the $34 level. Looks like this has been a little more of a 34 to 38 trading range. Looks like we're heading back down towards the lower end of that one. Barclays is trading down. Not as high a price stock, but you're still getting some movement in that. Major support in that at the 1160 level. Still quite a ways away from that.
So we got Europe weak. We've pretty much got everything weak here today. It's hard to find any strength at all. No, not even really anything. I know Budweiser's was in the news there, BUD. Again, that's another ADR. We don't need to talk too much about the ADRs because they're just following the price over there. But Budweiser is one that is trading up, so maybe we'll do a technical for our long traders out there because there isn't a lot of stocks trading higher here today.
What's that? Bud, the symbol on that?
BUD, Bud. They got a good ticker symbol because you think, like you said with MasterCard, would have made more sense with MC instead of MA. Well, Budweiser got a good one, Bud, give me a Bud.
Okay, major support here in Budweiser to 69.50 level. The last three lows in that stock between 69.41 and 69.67. Coming back on the upside, you are trading above resistance here. I see another high at 71.81 up to the $72 level, but it's only two up on a volume of 240 shares, so won't get too excited about that. Just want to mention one more stock that you mentioned quite a bit regarding high frequency trading. J&J just running its head into that big seller at 67, and now Dennis, now we're down 45 cents. Does the tractor beam kind of fall off the radar here, and we break under 66, and this thing's gone, or do you think it's going to jet right back up to 67?
Well, it's held the stock up for 3 or 4 days there, and what we say when we say the tractor beam is you have this huge institutional seller at 67. Like we say on the show all the time, the high-frequency guys sniff those big sellers out. They know he's there. They sell in front of him at 66.95, 96, 66.97, and they turn around and they get on the bid at 66.90, 66.91. Maybe some of the longer-term swing traders bid it at 66.80, 66.70. But all these bids kind of act as a little bit of support. And what that does is it can actually bring the trading range and tighten the trading range. As you have on the upside, you have the institutional seller and the high-frequency sellers in front of him. And on the downside, you have the high frequency guys that are scalping back on the bid, or even some swing traders that are scalping back on the bid, and it tightens up the range. But at a certain point in time, if it gets far enough away from there, everybody that's shorted the thing, all the short-term traders that shorted the stock have covered now, and then it can start trading in a natural range again. Now, if you start to get below this low here, I'm looking from this a few days ago, it's 66.16, then, and you think about the 66 area, you start to get below that, you have this big run up of 3-4 points here over the course of 4 sessions. Remember, we were talking about that on the show as well. So what goes up that quickly can often go down just as quickly, so there's not a lot of reference points once you get under 66, and the stock could start to, fill some fill some air there in a hurry.
Okay, well, we'll see if the Goldman Sachs call is going to come to fruition here. I know they're short the market, looking for 1285. We have taken out key support. Keep an eye on this 1318 level, folks. If we can't get above there, perhaps get your bids out at 1305 today. That's our show for today, folks, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.